Yeah,
It's
well.
Monday, December 10th, 2018, and I would like to call the Charles City Community School District Board of Education regular meeting to order with roll call vote, please.
Maycumber,
Here?
Walker.
Here.
Dyke absent, Freund.
Here.
Mack absent, Tilton.
Here.
I'd like to make a note on behalf of Director Dyke that he is at some continuing education. That's why he's not at the meeting tonight. Agenda item number 2, reading of the district mission, vision statement, and core values by Missy.
Our mission is to engage, inspire, and empower students and staff in order to maximize learning. Our district core values are best for all kids, family, committed leaders, passionate, and invitational.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Is there any revisions, additions?
One change under the consent agenda under number 14, classified transfer. We'll amend the agenda to include Julie Miller transferring to a .575 special education paraeducator position at Washington. Just had the interview today, but we wanted to get on the agenda for you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 3-0. We'll continue on with the welcoming of visitors and welcome public comment on this time. We'll move on to comments by board members and superintendent.
So again, as you saw in the weekly update, and I had to send a separate email with all the awesome pictures that are going on. I actually have a few videos I'm going to send you of some different concerts and things. So good things happening all across the district with our kids. Board and superintendent goal 1 of professional learning. January 2nd will be our honor retreat where the entire district will gather at the Enrichment Center to discuss, why we do what we do. Purpose retreat. I called it the wrong thing. Sorry, I'm getting the glare from TLT. Honor retreat was last year. Purpose retreat is this year, where we're discussing why we do what we do, discussing our why as a family, which is going to be really exciting. I'm also excited on Friday, our certified negotiations team, as well as Director Maycumber and Director Mack, will be accompanying me up to Mason City to NIAC. So thanks to NIAC giving us a room. We're going to do a negotiations chemistry retreat to really bind our negotiations team as part of the interest-based bargaining process and really improve our chemistry. Board Superintendent Goal 2 of Culture and Climate. Continue to meet with our paraeducator focus group. Had a great meeting tonight, and actually even our UNISERV rep for ISEA was present and very supportive of the direction that we're going to improve the culture and climate of the employee group of paraeducators. Still working out some details on that, and I keep updating you guys on the weekly update as well, but excited about the future of really improving our culture and climate. As you can see, there's been run-out concerts by many of our fine arts groups, our performing arts, orchestra, band, and choir at the Banks, and they're at the Rotary this week, so excited about that. And we are having tons of tours in our buildings right now. Justin DeVore in Communications Office is very busy with prospective families, with prospective newspaper folks that come in and tour the building. That was exciting. We had 2 tours at the middle school at the same time, but we had a family of 4 students that will be moving here in January. And we also found out 2 more families who want to move here in January as well. We're getting them tours to give them that invitational experience. And finally, lots of concerts, so check the website, but a lot of concerts happening right now. So there's one tonight at 7 o'clock at North Grand. Finally, Board Superintendent Goal 3, Infrastructure and Facilities. Jerry and I had our facilities retreat on Friday. We spent about 3 hours together really working on a draft of a comprehensive strategic plan for facilities, and we'll be rolling that out to the board committee on Wednesday. Excited about that. Also worked on some principles and paradigms on how to really gauge in budgeting for the future. And then, Jerry, I want to commend their group again for all the snow removal. Sometimes the most annoying snow removal is when it's like nothing, but we still got to, sweep the walks and do things, and I really appreciate them going above and beyond and making that happen, keeping us safe. So that's what's going on in the district.
Thank you. Anyone else? Moving on to agenda item number 6, committee reports. I see that we have no reports except for SIAC. Superintendent Fisher.
Just a real positive SIAC again at the high school. We had a communications off this presentation by Justin and talked about the beautification, the red carpet service that we're doing, the changes we're doing on our invitational core value, and got some positive feedback from the parents there. Missy, anything you wanted to add from SIAC?
I think you covered it other than, Justin's presentation was really good, and I think the main point that it's all genuine. It's not just we're, doing this to try and make ourselves look good. We are genuinely, that's who we are, so.
We were happy that with the presentation. I want to honor his work. He's actually going to come to that communications report for the board presentation, I think, into January. So we put him on the board. So.
How was what was your numbers? How was your attendance? Is he still staying?
No, the first meeting, I think every single person was there, and I want to say this meeting, there were maybe half dozen of us.
Yeah, I think there were 6 or 7, and a good majority were staff. So really got to work on it. We're missing some kids there, so I'm going to really push on our students to get there as well. So, but we'll continue working on getting attendance up.
Very good. We'll move on to agenda item number 7, job shadowing report. Jason, can we start with you?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to shadow Julie Parker at the high school, paraprofessional, and it was a really, really great experience. It really, going back to when we started doing this, these are the kinds of things that I look forward to getting in and in the buildings and seeing. It's forced me to get in, and it took an extra month to get it done, as we're all super busy in that. But it forced me to get into there and see some of the things that we don't see behind the scenes that go on. And Julie was just a real treat to follow and to see her engage with the students. And what struck me so much with her was her personality and her genuinely caring attitude to the students. And if I could clone her, I think I would. She's one that I wish we could really just have 100 of, and one in every classroom. She talked a lot about having that compassion and empathy and sympathy for all of our students. She sees a lot of behavior issues, and she oftentimes spends a lot of time with the kids that have behavior issues. And she talked a lot about working to find the why, not the not the punishment, not the reprimand, but why are we struggling, and why is this particular student having issues, and working to be sympathetic to whatever it is in their life that is causing some of that. And that message was just something that was really, really good, and I greatly appreciated her efforts for that. And I have to, like I said, I just have to really commend her for that, and I hope that she continues to be a leader in that regard, because I was really impressed by her attitude. So it's great.
Outstanding. Scott is absent. Missy?
I did not get to mine this month.
Josh?
So I think this was the board meeting that I missed at the end of October when we chose these, and I don't think I got one.
I believe it was in September.
Yeah.
But it's.
Was it from September?
It has been, because actually I did my visit in October, so we're just now recording. I'll go ahead with mine while you look. I visited Julie Drabering back in October, and was able to observe her classroom and all the learning and teaching opportunities that they do, and they custom curtail to each one of their students. I found it very interesting. And they shared their room and all the elements and all the different areas in a room that they took advantage of, with the kitchen and the laundry area, and how they integrated that into real life learning experience for their students. I did not realize that they help out the athletic department, I believe, I hope I'm not misspeaking here, by washing uniforms. So it's a great partnership there. It's something that's needed, and it's a great learning opportunity, and they found the opportunity and are doing that collaborative effort there on that part. And really appreciated visiting with them and with Julie. Julie and I have a history from about 25 years back at Comp Systems, so it was interesting to see how some of that still holds true in what we do today. Excellent. Moving on to.
Did Isaiah have one?
No, I didn't get mine.
I just wanted to say that, we had talked prior to the meeting too about if we were going to draw names tonight, and that it has become really difficult to get these in. And we had talked that, I think Mike was going to maybe just assign maybe some to us, and then as we get them completed, instead of having the formal monthly, that just kind of keeping it on the agenda maybe, and when we have an opportunity to get them done and report out, then do so. But it is really difficult. The last time I scheduled mine, I didn't even realize there was no school that day, and there's just all these things that come up. So I would support, working towards that in the future.
And in the interest of time tonight, since we have a concert tonight, we'll go ahead and we'll just draw those for the board. I'll just have Paige draw those for the board, and we'll, let's break it out of the buildings we haven't gotten to, and we'll get those names out to you yourself.
And maybe it is another discussion to have. I had brought up a suggestion that maybe there is 5 to 6 names that we just are given an assignment at the beginning of the year, and then that falls under the committee reports, just under general reports. It can just be a line there, and if you have visited with someone, you can. And then that means it doesn't necessarily be you need a one-time visit. I've had visits where I've gone back a second time because you see a little bit of it and you know that that's going to be taking place and you'd like to visit again. I also know that with our busy schedules, that sometimes visiting 4 at one day is really productive too, one day off of work. And doing quite a few visits during the day is very productive too, knowing that we have other jobs. So maybe we can visit that at another later date too, to decide if our format needs to be revised. Moving on to agenda number 8, district core values, vulnerability. This is a presentation by our teacher leadership team coaches. Thank you.
Hi. We just want to thank you for allowing us to come and share how the leadership program is working, the teacher leadership program. There are only 2 of us here tonight. One is homesick and one is at classes with teachers. So that's kind of how we roll. So our team is really comprised of several different positions. We have 10 model teachers, and those would be at the high school, Darla Aarons, Donna Forsyth, and Rob Pittman. At the middle school, we have Brenda Bailey and Lisa Nelson. At Lincoln, we have Diane Sandy, and then at Washington, we have Brandy Much, April Schweinfurt, Shannon Vince, and Laura Stahlsmith. So we also have mentor teachers for brand new teachers in the field, and then we have mentor teachers for veteran teachers, so teachers who are currently employed and came to our district just to assist them in adjusting and adapting to our district and how we roll. And then there are 3 instructional coaches, David Vovez, Kelly Bogus, and myself, and then Marie Conklin is our success coach. And so we have a video to share with you with some testimony from teachers that have used all parts of the leadership program. I'm going to ask for grace because I am not a videographer, and after I watched what I did, you kind of have to get your seasickness ready. I'm a little bit shaky, and apparently not everyone has a top to their head. Just to cry out to Justin DeVore that maybe he would like to do this for us next time. But growth area for me. So I'm going to play that for you, and you can hear from the teachers.
Teach 5th, 6th, and 7th grade reading here at the middle school, and so I made the major move from 8th grade to kindergarten. And so last year I really worked closely with Kelly and Sheila at Washington. So they both were in my classroom. I just felt so supported by them. Like they would just come in and sit and watch and listen and leave me notes. And I really can't express enough how much. If people ever would have thought like, oh, well, an instructional coach is going to be like an administrator, it's totally not. It's like a teacher plus, because they are a teacher, so they know what you need, they know what you're going through, and they just come alongside you. I guess that's the best thing, the best way that I can describe it is that they really just come alongside of you and give you what you need. And so in working with Sheila, she came and helped out with some writing with my kids. Did some small groups and little individual conferencing with writing, also helped me with my mini lesson and keeping it maybe a little bit shorter, and just help me out kind of in a period where I was sort of struggling with just engagement again and how to handle kids that were maybe off task. And then Kelly helped me implement Words Their Way last year. She came and ran a group, like a pilot group, and she got all the stuff completely ready for me to be able to launch Words Their Way with all my kids. She made me a file cabinet full of Words Their Way and met with me on reading, and she came and helped with math and was in like multiple days in a row on a coaching cycle to help out with getting through the whole lesson in math, starting with the mini lesson and the launch, match, and then getting through all the way to the share and helping with conferencing with kids during math.
I'm Jake Gassman. I'm the high school band director here at Charles City High School. I've done one full coaching cycle with David Lopez, and then I've just started the second coaching cycle with him. First coaching cycle was fantastic. It did everything I hoped for and more. We worked on officially running a rehearsal. I had been at a conference and found a research article talking about how experienced teachers run rehearsals, and Mr. Balda sat down with me and organized the whole my classroom and adapted it for the information for our band room and our class periods and stuff like that. His dedication on the process was fantastic, and it's really paid off. We started this at the beginning of last year, and I'm still using the timing that we talked about, that he put it up on a clock, and then when the times changed this year, we stepped into technology, and I've got a timer on my iPad that helps remind me about where the timing goes, and it has significantly changed my teaching practice 15 years into my career. I feel like I'm more efficient. I feel like the students are getting more out of rehearsal. I feel like the music's sounding better because of that. So that was an absolute great experience.
Hi, I'm Amy Johnson, and I'm the 512 health and PE teacher. And last year, I was struggling a little bit with my classroom work in the health setting because it was a different environment for me. I'm used to being in the gym, and so I needed some help with managing the classroom and just trying to get some of the behaviors under control. So I started working with Sheila, and it was a great experience because she really just thought of simple things that were kind of like, oh, duh, sort of situations where when you're in the moment, you just don't think of it. And I think probably one of the most shocking parts was when she would come in and observe, and the class was over, and she said, well, I have to tell you that you had 10 kids that left the room at one point during your lesson today. And I didn't even realize that I had kids going in and out because I was busy trying to teach, and then they would just come up and ask, hey, I need to go to the bathroom, I need to get a pencil, and I need to get a drink, and they would just head out. So after that, I kind of realized that, just simple things like when they're in the room, they stay in the room. And if you don't have a pencil, here, I've got one for you. So just little things like keeping a supply of pencils, getting a pencil sharpener in my room were big changes that I made that had a huge impact. So these little changes that had these huge impacts on how the class was functioning then while I was able to teach, because then I had minimized distractions and I had kids staying in their seats, and that was a big help. Whenever you're ready.
I'm Scotty Hagensick. I am the 3rd through 6th grade school counselor for Charles City. One of the reasons I found the success coach position so important is because it has allowed for a high level of collaboration. I have spent a lot of time working with Marie Conklin, and she has always been so passionate about her position and also learning about my own role as a school counselor. I have felt so grateful to have her approach the world of school counseling and learn about ways she can support me and my role and thus impact hundreds of students. One of the ways that Marie has been so influential to me is that she's always such an open listener. No matter what I come to her with, she's always listening and helping me think through different situations. And a few times she's been very helpful has been through some co-teaching opportunities. She has helped me lead some small groups and deliver really impactful lessons for our students on areas like empowerment, building assertiveness, advocating for themselves. Currently, she's helping me co-teach some zones of regulation small groups. I think one thing that is so special about Marie is no matter what you come to her with, she's ready to support you and do anything she can to help.
I've had a couple of different opportunities to go watch a model teacher in action, and it has benefited my classroom and my teaching immensely. As a new 3rd grade teacher, I got the opportunity to go watch a second grade teacher, Shannon Benz. She was doing math, and I got to go in and watch just how her classroom looked and sounded during a math lesson, and the way that she used not only the mini lesson time, but then the work time and then the come back and sharing time. It was incredibly eye-opening for me to see what a math class should look like and sound like as a third grade teacher. And then also I got to go watch Diane Sandy as a fourth grade teacher. She too is a model teacher, and to watch how she also orchestrated her classroom. It looked and sounded similar to Shannon's, but was also different in several ways. And so getting to compare and contrast those two classrooms, what they looked like and sounded like in math, was incredibly important in me forming my third grade math classroom on an everyday basis. And my teaching changed and got way better simply because of the chances to go watch those two teach. So I'm grateful for those two model teachers and how they've impacted my classroom and my teaching.
My name is Janae Newton. I'm a Spanish teacher here in the high school and the middle school. And I have Melina with me this year being my mentor teacher. She's next door and also teaches Spanish. So location and content area have given us lots of different things to talk about and sort of be helpful with me on. I pop over there frequently and she never seems bothered by it. Sometimes I remember on the first day of school, I had gotten into Power School, but I couldn't figure out how to change over to the middle school classes, and she could help me with that. Also, beginning of the year, there's just so many new teacher tasks we have to do, and so she took over some of those roles. She's like, I'll take care of the curriculum, I'll purchase that, take that off her plate. She did all the K purchasing, so I didn't have to learn to do that right away. So I could put my time into what needs to be done right then and right now for my students. She is always there for whatever it may be, whenever I need that. So this program has been wonderful for me. And this is my 5th year of teaching, so I still feel like getting to know the district, the ins and outs of that, have made having a mentor still relevant to me. I did not have a mentor the last 2 years, and there's some things that I didn't know for so long. I didn't even know there was a bathroom on the floor of the building I worked in last year for teachers. It's something that there's no booklet put together of those things, and just to be able to pop in real fast and ask for that has been so important in making things that could have ended up taking a long time to find out or learn how to do, like what printer is what, why is this one on my computer isn't, whatever it may be. Make those things something that are smooth, fast, and leave my time to be spent best with my students.
My mentor teacher was Sandy Plagenpool, and I don't even know how to put into words how valuable she was to me. Just even coming in my first year, it was very, very overwhelming with a new curriculum or not having a curriculum to go by. I pretty much went to her every single day after school and asked her questions about what to do. She helped, she supported me. Her calm, kind, compassionate personality was exactly what my overwhelmed self needed. And even now, with being my 3rd year and technically not having to have a mentor, I still can go to her and know that she'll talk through stuff with me. And we have a great working relationship, but also a really great friendship. Coming into my first year, again, super overwhelmed, and there was no reading or writing curriculum. I had like no clue where I was supposed to start. She was a huge support in helping me see different activities that she did that were working for her kids and helping me then take them and use them as well. This year we teach science together, so even still we get to work together and make our science units, and we work very well together and bounce ideas off of each other. I really feel like the mentor-mentee program in Charles City is huge for incoming teachers, especially when it's your very first year of teaching. But even if I had taught somewhere else and then come here, I would have still loved having Sandy as that support that I had.
So we wanted to put that together just to give you an idea. A lot of times when we talk about TLT, we think about the coaches, and it's so much bigger than that. And so just to kind of give you a taste of kind of what's going on. And when Mike asked us to speak tonight, he had said that the topic was vulnerability. And as coaches coming into this, we kind of didn't have a choice but to be vulnerable and be transparent because we didn't know what we were doing. We went to a lot of professional learning and have been kind of building the plane as we go, so to speak. And so as we have worked over the last couple of years, we've been trying to find that balance of what do teachers need and what's best for kids and how can we come alongside teachers and do that. And so this year, with it being our third year, with the model teacher portion of TLT, the way that the contract is written is that it's a 3-year position, and then after 3 years, we open it up and any teacher can reapply. And so because we knew that was happening and we've had some changes in the coaching arena, we, in our last survey, asked staff kind of what are their viewpoints on the valuableness of our coaches and our model teachers and our mentor teachers. And so you were all given a data sheet. If you look at the side that says a veteran teacher, it's the one with the 5 pie graphs, where that full sentence, I realized as I was looking at this today that it didn't give you the full sentence. So the full sentence there was, is the model teacher, or the model teacher, and then it gives the definition, is valuable to the Charles City Community School District. And we really wanted teachers to look at this point, don't look at the people in the position, look at the position. Is this a position we would like to continue to utilize, and where do you see that value? And then they filled it out using the Likert scale. And so this data, it was just done about a month ago, at the end of second quarter. And so that's there for you to see. We just thought we would share that to kind of give you a perspective of what the district is seeing right now. We had some in the coaches section, we had a couple disagrees. We did go have conversations with those teachers and just kind of talk through, why do you disagree about that? Is there something we need to change? Is there something that you're still not understanding within our positions, and kind of had some conversations there. And we were very open with staff from the beginning that when their names are attached to these, they're not anonymous, but we want that so we can go have conversations and grow as leaders. And so so that's what we use that. If you look at the bottom bar graph there, so every year, every survey we send out, we now send one out once a quarter. When we first started, we'd send one out about every 30 days, and now we've toned it back to just once per quarter. One of the questions that's on there every time is, when a coach informally wants to just stop into your room during instruction, do you want us to schedule that time, or is it okay for us just to stop in? And the numbers that you see there, when we first started the program, so the very first survey that was given out, we had 55 teachers in our district who were like, yep, open door, come whenever you want. And then last year, at the end of the year, we were at 74, and this year to start the year, we're at 82. So we just think that shows that teachers are much more comfortable with us. That's showing that hopefully we're building that trust with them. And I think even this year with having that core value of invitational, just knowing that that's how we want to be able to operate in our district. If you turn it over, one of the things that we as coaches do is we track our interactions with teachers because that is where our time is spent. We find that it's important to track that. And so we have 2 goals that we set this year. One is we want 100% participation on all of our staff surveys, to the point where I may or may not stalk people if they don't fill it out, because we want their input. And even if it is not what we want to hear it so that we can know how to grow. And so the second goal is our interaction goal. And so we have, our goal this year is to have 15 interactions at a level 2 or greater. And so if you look down below, that graphic there is how we rate, it's a level 1 through 5. And this goal was set at the beginning of this year when we thought I should say this, last year this was our goal. We did not meet the 100%, we had a 90% So 90% of our staff, we had that interaction at a level 2. When we started the year this year, we were down to 4.5 coaches, and so we said, let's just keep the goal the same, because it would still be more interactions that we have to have with less people. And so we're at 38% as of today, but we're also down to 4 coaches. So we are ready to attack this goal as best we can, and our hopes is to meet it, knowing that even though we have fewer people that provide those opportunities. And so along the right-hand side there, we have a Google spreadsheet where we go in every day and we monitor, or we track how we interact with staff. And we just fill that out to show what level did we interact with them on, and then it tallies it for us to help us. And then we look and kind of talk together, oh, it looks like this staff member none of us have really interacted with. What are we gonna do to make sure that happens? So, and then the bottom one of the questions in our last survey, in addition to, do you feel this position is valuable, was, have you used it in the last 2.5 years? And so you'll see that 71% of our staff is engaged with the coaches in some capacity, and that's from their perspective. So that's kind of our data that we just kind of wanted to share to give you an update of where we're at and how we try to stay connected with teachers and in the big picture, since we're kind of in the grind with them from day to day. So if you have any other questions or things for us, that's what we have next.
It's nice to see that the teachers are becoming comfortable, that you're not being looked at as the spies.
Yes.
Because I thought of this, the name you were given initially as teacher leadership, that was probably maybe not the best name, and I never thought of that at the time, and I know that might have come down from the state, but with Mike helping us do a lot of re-looking and rethinking how we call things, we probably should have called you teacher partners. Might have been a little more welcoming than what you were labeled at that time, but I think it looks like you're crossing that bridge, and that whole standoff uncomfortableness is good to see that you're doing. And I know that was a lot of your efforts. A lot of time and effort was put into making those teachers feel comfortable. So thank you for that.
We did have that conversation. We did have that conversation many times about what should we be called, and we were in many classes and talked to many districts, and yeah, it was a big conversation for a long time that first year.
Good. Thank you for all your work.
No problem.
Thank you for presenting.
Thank you. Yes. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. And for getting your data and your PowerPoint and everything sent to us too. It was great to look at this beforehand and to the numbers. Thank you.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks.
Moving on to agenda item number 9, Human Resource Conference. Superintendent Fisher.
I wanted to share out a little bit more around what I learned at the 3-day, and conference was probably a little misleading. It was 3 days of intensive classroom training, and it was awesome. It blew my mind. I don't know, I couldn't even think coming home, because as they said, the trainers I worked with, which was from a company called Battelle for Kids, which is a nonprofit that works on school improvement planning, and they're just experts in this. They partner with the American Association for School Personnel Administrators. And they said, there's 3 to 5 years worth of work in this training for you to do it. Of course, me being me, I go, wow, wish we could do that maybe in a couple weeks. But I know that's not realistic. And so one of the artifacts I shared, and I know we have it as an exhibit as well, is basically the wheel of everything that we're pursuing. And it's performance excellence, strategic staffing, talent management and development, culture and total rewards. So first of all, it's having a strategic plan on how we're going to approach, and this is what they say, human capital. They've really moved away from saying human resources, because resources indicates it's finite. There's only so much. And when you really think human capital, it's an infinite resource, infinite of getting the most out of the people that you work with. And I will tell you one of the things I strongly believe in, the most important thing I do is set vision. The second most important thing I do is hire. Because if you hire great people, everything else happens on its own. I heard a great statistic while I was out training. It's the difference between highly engaged in people and low engaged people. Highly engaged in people, this is from Gallup polling they do, and they've done this for 70 years. Highly engaged people tend to require very little supervision, you get a lot of discretionary effort. There are people that you get 1.5, this is research driven, 1.5 days worth of work out of every 1 day of pay you get. So you think of the teacher you see up in the summertime weeding the bushes in front of the high school. That's a real story, right? That's a highly engaged person. And they are bucket fillers. They are people that really go and improve the culture and climate of the people around them. Then you have engaged employees, and engaged employees tend to be 1.0 of work for 1.0 of pay. They tend to be, clock people. They come in at 9, they leave at 5. And they don't really dip the buckets, but they don't add a lot, so they're kind of right in the middle. And then at the far end, you have actively disengaged. Research would indicate you get 0.5 work, a half day's work out of every day's pay. They require intensive supervision, and they actually are bucket dippers. They actually actively sabotage the things going on around them. They actually remove and hurt the culture and climate of people around them. And what's funny is we talk about leadership roles, we tend to focus on that group. We put a lot of time and effort in that group, but the truth is we should be focused on moving our people in the middle to the top and focus on keeping our top people in the top there. And so that was a big part of the talent management development. It was a big part of what we learned in culture and total rewards. And so that's a piece that I'm really passionate about. And so that's a piece also as we work at culture and climate. The culture and climate surveys we're doing right now, it's based around that Gallup information, trying to gauge where the employee engagement is. And then we have taken a stance on holding people highly accountable. If they're in that actively disengaged group, we need to get them to the engaged group, or that we need to help them find employment elsewhere, because we want our people to be happy and healthy. The piece we're also really focusing on will be a human capital strategic plan, which you'll be seeing that in the future. And also we'll have some recommendations on policy to put that in policy, that we are following that we make this a priority. And then I am happy to say that we are coming out with a very intensive staff selection process that we'll be rolling out to our senior leaders January 2nd on expectations on how we are going to make the best hires and how we're going to recruit the best hires and make sure, because it takes a heck of a lot of time to separate from an employee. I'd rather put that work on the front end of selecting the best employees. And it's not a silver bullet, but I found that we have found some best practice strategies from across the United States that we can implement here. And I really think in a year or so, you're going to see us being one of the leaders in human capital in Iowa, probably us in Des Moines Public, and we're actually using a lot of stuff from them. So there's 16 strategic areas that over the next 3 to 5 years we will hit. I would say, knowing me, probably in 3 years, maybe less. We're going to focus on probably 2 or 3 of them this year, and one of them being strategic alignment, the other being branding, HR branding, so we can recruit better and get better people in the pipeline, and then sourcing and recruiting, picking the best people. So just wanted to update you on what we're doing, and you'll see more coming down the road. And there's a great graphic in here you can learn about highly disengaged employees. One interesting fact about highly disengaged employees, they spend a lot of time looking for their next job. So what I find ironic is highly disengaged employees, we are paying them to find their next job. And so I don't know, that just has rubbed me the wrong way. So we're going to work on that. So
Excellent information. Thank you. Agenda item number 10, policy 407.6, employee early retirement. This is an action. We do have an exhibit in our packet. It's also worthy of a little bit of discussion based on what has happened in the past and what we have done and what we plan on doing this year.
I guess I would just start with my recommendation, that my recommendation is to not offer the policy this year. This is based upon feedback from the senior leadership team, especially our finance director, Terry O'Brien, and also falling in line with what our statement was last year as a board and where we were. We are in a fiscally strong position this year with an increased enrollment. And also, while we like to offer these great things when necessary, we also run the risk that we lose some outstanding people. And we're an exciting time, I think, at Charles City Schools, and we have some great people we want to keep around. That's another piece. But also understand that sometimes people are looking for these types of benefits. But again, we have to delineate: is it a benefit or is it something that comes around every now and then as an additional perk, as opposed to something that we continue to offer year to year? And my recommendation, fiscally and philosophically, would be that it would not be offered this year. It'd be something that's offered from time to time.
Excellent.
Have we gathered any feedback from any of the other employees beside the leadership team?
I did. First of all, I wanted to make sure I had legal bounds to do that, so I consulted legal counsel. Could I actually ask people? And when you can't send a survey, it is legally permissible to go ask a few key people. And I did I talked to a few people that would be eligible under a couple of different options we looked at, because we did look at different options that we could offer, and the feedback was, makes me feel happy. Fisher, I'm not interested in that. We got work to do. We got work to do, man. And I'm like, that's really cool. I think I talked to, I'd have to check my book. It was 3 or 4 people. I didn't want to, you start talking to too many people, it becomes more of a sample and a poll. It was just to kind of give some context to where that was. So I think there's some excitement around the district. So we wanted to lean into that.
This is something that we've always talked about as being something we would hope to not have to implement. It's not widely understood. I don't think that the pot of money that pays for this program is directly derived from property taxes. And it's something that I've always thought is, this is an opportunity that when we have the chance to be responsible and we're in a strong enough fiscal position to avoid doing this, that we really needed to look at doing it just that way and being a good steward of our property tax dollars in that regard. A lot of people do struggle with, it has in many districts and in many places by necessity basically with budgets, but it's become an end of career bonus, which I view it as being that it really, really needs to be something that is done in the best interest of the district as a whole. And clearly in times of great budgetary needs, that's when it benefits the district as a whole. So it's crazy to be sitting here and now all of a sudden in fortunate enough times that we are flush, in the budget. We have a great outlook for the next year and maybe coming years after that. This will be the first time in my 5 years of being on the board that we will not offer it. So, which, to me speaks loudly in the ride that we've been on in this district of having to offer this stuff to make ends meet and to keep our, staff, all of our staff employed basically that want to stay. So I definitely support electing to not offer it, all of those reasons.
I think if there was a goal to be set, and this could have been one of them, this would have probably have been as bold as gold, is to get past that need to offer this, knowing that when we came to that point, we would also see that there would be, we would be more fiscally stable on the other end also, and probably not looking at budget cuts. So it is a nice reward after all these years.
What are other districts doing? Are they in a similar boat as us and not offering it or offering it?
Typically, this is just qualitative. I haven't done like a poll of even the conference districts, but it is almost always necessity based. It's based upon budget. I can tell you, two I'm aware of is Fort Dodge and Davenport. Davenport is under SBRC oversight and has to balance their budget in 2 years. So they're praying that a lot of people take it because they may have to cut as many as 83 positions. Iowa City's doing the same. Fort Dodge has to cut $1 million this year, so they're really heavily relying on it. The only time you would see something different, honestly, it's almost always used as a budget balance tool, is there are some districts where it is just, quite honestly, it's just an implied benefit. I was over in Illinois, for example, and in Illinois, it's almost just an expectation. In Illinois, they actually pay out sick leave at the end as well, which, that's rare in Iowa because that has to be levied back on the taxpayers. In Illinois, the state picks it up. The state pays for it. Also, as I talked to my Illinois cohorts at my training, they said, and our state's broke. And so there's some things that, they said, it's nice to do if you can, but just sometimes, like you said, it is straight property tax and the management fund, so being good custodians of taxpayer money. But, Director Mack, it absolutely, other than a few districts that may have it just as a perk every year, it's a budget balance tool.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to elect not to offer employee early retirement incentives for employees retiring at the end of the 2018-19 school year.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to elect not to offer employee early retirement incentives for employees retiring at the end of 2018-19 school year. Is there any additional discussion or questions?
I know since I've been here, you've got rid of a few teachers, and I know that deeply impacts the students. I know you got rid of 2 of the industrial tech teachers since I've been here. And actually, most of the kids that used to take those classes don't anymore because they enjoyed those teachers much more. Mm-hmm. And from what I've heard, none of the new ones teach exactly what the other ones taught. So you kind of lose that learning from different perspectives there.
The experience.
Different environments, not what people expect from the class itself.
Understood. Good comment, thank you. Anyone else? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Agenda item number 11, lobbying at the state capitol. The upcoming 2019 legislative session will convene on Monday, January 7th. When do we want to go? Do we want to go? It's a discussion item.
I think it's been powerful in the past. I think it's been great to have our presence there. You know, it's not always easy for all of us to be able to make a particular day work, but and it will never productively find probably one day for everyone to fit. But if there's a day that, for a couple of days to pick from in mind, then I would certainly try to make it work into my calendar and have an interest in it. So.
And we appreciate, you know, me being the new guy, but I've really sensed that we've been a leader in that area in the county to make this happen. And so I really feel like us being partners with the neighboring school districts and making sure our collective rural voice is heard for Northeast Iowa is really important. So I appreciate the board's leadership on this in the past, because I know it's a huge sacrifice as you guys have to donate your time to it.
I even think we could go so far as to say we were leaders in the state. When we first went, we were one of the few school boards that went on their own and lobbied. Thanks much to Dr. Cox and Justin DeVore for all their work in helping us set that up. My comment is the month of January is best for me. This is the one thing I wanted to say for dates. Other than that, anyone else?
Are we looking for specific days?
I'd look for maybe a few dates and an informal polling by email or something of board members to set a date.
Or definitely blocks of time.
And is it an entire day trip? Is that, because I know if you guys went last year, I know that I obviously I did not go.
I think generally it's leave super early in the morning, get down there, spend until noon or so, find some place to eat and come back. So back by the end of the school day for the most part. So, but it is an early morning trip.
And I might entertain that the later in the month we go, it gives us more time to coordinate with the other boards, if there's any other local boards. Because if we go like the first or second week of January, you run those conflicts. So you might think about the last 2 weeks in January.
I agree. I don't believe it to be that we have to formally set a date at a meeting, correct? Just post that we are.
Yeah, well, right, yeah, because there's not going to be any action, but we do post it.
Post that, yeah.
That you're going down there.
Because we'll all be together, yeah.
There wasn't any minutes, per se.
No. I would just make a motion to direct administration to secure a lobbying date and invite area boards to join us.
Have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to direct administration to secure a lobbying date and invite area boards to join us. Any additional discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Agenda item 12, School Budget Review Committee, application for increasing enrollment. Action item with exhibits.
When we first did the SBRC application, they pre-populate the certified enrollment in the application. Well, then, after the application was submitted and the board approved what was on there, enrollment increased by 1. So, in other words, we're now allowed to go back and revise the amount that we applied for from the SBRC.
I'll make a motion to approve the SBRC application authorizing the request for modified supplemental amount for increasing enrollment of $270,960.90 as revised.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the SBRC application authorizing the request for modified supplemental amount of increasing enrollment of $270,960.90 as revised. Any additional discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Agenda item 13, fiscal report for November 2018. Carrie?
Just, I guess, one quick comment. We're going to be starting our budget process probably in February soon, I guess. And prior to going into our budget process, I'm trying to come up with some financial goals that we can talk about and decide, as a group, where do you want your unspent balance and why do we want it there? I've gotten some information from Piper Jaffray on, some of the things other districts have done as far as financial goals, so I have a starting point.
Thank you. This is an action item. Entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to accept the November 2018 financial report as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the November 2018 fiscal reports as presented. Any additional questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Agenda item 14, consideration of consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda items as amended.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as amended. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Agenda item 15, correspondence and miscellaneous. Let's see the enrollment summary in our packet. Looks favorable. Important upcoming dates. You can review those, lots of concerts. And we will now adjourn to closed session as per Iowa Code 21.5.1. I need a motion.
Motion to adjourn to closed session as per Iowa Code 21.5.1A to review or discuss records which are required or authorized by state or federal law to be kept confidential or be kept confidential as a condition for that governmental body's possession or continued receipt of federal funds.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn to closed session as per Iowa Code 21.5.1A to review or discuss records which are required or authorized by state or federal law to keep confidential or be kept confidential as a condition of that governing body, possession or continued receipt of federal funds. The board will discuss the midpoint evaluation of superintendent of schools. Do I ask for a roll call vote, please?
Mack?
Yes.
Freund?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Maycumber?
Yes.
Think about that conference room there.